Well, in the past couple of weeks, Christians and Media has been quite busy. A few weeks ago, we had the privilege of running our own Christians and Media online service. And we had a wonderful address from Tim Pemberton, who's the head of BBC Religion and Ethics. And we also had contributions from various other people on the front line of media. And many of our mentees participated as well, which I thought was really encouraging. And just recently, we had an invitation to churches to set aside time in their main meetings to pray for you in the media and for media in general. And a theme running through those two events was the whole theme of integrity, telling the truth. And also featuring in both of those events was a really wonderful video called Truth Tellers. And we have had at Christians and Media many heartfelt and very positive responses to that video. And I'm really pleased to welcome the person behind that video, Nicola Pike. Nicola, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Well, it could be good afternoon when someone listens to this or watches it. So whatever day of the week it is, I hope you enjoy this time with Nicola. Nicola, I just wanted to sort of introduce you as the person behind the video. I thought it was terrific, and I must confess that my local church, we played it, and then they allowed me to follow it up with a prayer, which was wonderful, and it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. I wonder, what was the inspiration behind that video for you?
Well, thank you. Firstly, I'm so pleased it's being received well. The inspiration behind it, I think it. Well, obviously Christians in Media coming and having that sense of purpose behind it and knowing what you do and how you support people in media. I think the theme that we had going was this idea of the fake news that everyone is battling, and that young people coming through can seemingly be oblivious to being in the battle of that. It didn't seem so many years ago that you didn't have to try and decipher the news. It was what it was, and now it's so much more complex. And I think I wanted something that people would think about after they'd watched it, something that would challenge how we receive what we consume, and hopefully something that would encourage those who are a part of building what we consume to feel, I don't know, maybe repurposed and re-inspired for the kind of weight of responsibility they carry and the privilege and what a calling that is actually to have a voice behind that.
And you're quite right. We consume media in so many different ways nowadays, and it's always an issue to check the source behind the media, isn't it? You know, you mentioned fake news. I must confess, when I followed up your video with my prayer, the first word or phrase was fake news, and I immediately said that. But we do have an army of truth tellers out there who stand for the truth. You put this together, and you worked with a producer. How did that collaboration come about?
Yeah, so Matthew Joseph directed this and edited it, and actually knew Matt we both studied at the same time, different places in Guildford, and we were going to the same church at the time, and then we kind of went our separate ways, and I've followed him. I've loved seeing what he's done over the years, and very inspired by the work he puts together, but also have known his work ethic is just so inspiring. He's one of those people you want to get close to, just in the hope that they rub off on you and in how they approach things and how they work. And we'd been in conversations over another piece actually, and then this one was the hook, and we started getting our heads together on how we could bring this to life, and Matt pulled together an amazing team, small but wonderful team, and we managed to bring this to life. So it was great actually collaborating in that way with Matt and seeing how he works, and he just goes above and beyond, and I'm so pleased with what we've got off the back of that.
Well, actually, you did this in quite quick time, really, didn't you? Because I know
Yeah.
you wrote it, but actually on the recording, you did it almost in half a day or a day. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
you did it so well, and I have had good feedback from how it looks as well. Not just, but I have had a lot of feedback about your spoken word piece on it, and it has really spoken to people's hearts. And I
Oh,
just
good.
wondered, have you always had a gift for the spoken word?
Oh, thank you. um, so my background's actually in acting, and I went into acting, and sort of in those early years of starting out in this whole world of acting, I had a few people sort of give me nudges towards writing, and I sort of said, oh, thank you, but I'm going to be an actor. And it took me a while to be sort of a bit less single-minded and think broadly, and to actually give space to allow myself to try writing. I think I was very much, I'm the fixed mindset generation where, writing wasn't my best subject at school, so I can't do that. And once I started exploring it, I found that I love doing it. But I think there's something about bringing those words to life, and something obviously clicked in me where actually the performance training and background aligned very nicely with that. And sometimes I think of Eric Liddell, who famously said, when I run, I feel God's pleasure. And I think sometimes I've written things, but it's actually speaking them out where I get that, like, yes, this is where it should land. So yeah, it's been something I've developed, probably unknowingly being developed for quite a few years, but I've only dared to label it as spoken words the last few years, really. And probably as well, that's a bit to do with the exposure I had. Certainly when I kind of hunted out spoken word, I think I was exposed to a lot of what I would tentatively call angry readings of poems. There's quite a lot of that out there, just reading with real gusto, that kind of passion, but quite often from an angry place. And I was like, I love this, but I don't think it's quite this, and I don't know if I can say that this is what I'm doing. And it was kind of getting under the surface of what spoken word is, and being exposed to more and more poets out there, which is actually quite easily done now with the beauty of social media. So I've kind of trained myself and hopefully landed somewhere where I feel you've got a valid voice to bring to the table, but you can also hold on to doing it perhaps in a different way.
I was just wondering, because many people have referred to your piece as a poem. Is there a distinction between poetry and the spoken word?
Well, I guess I would very loosely say maybe poetry can be for the eye and spoken word is for the ear, maybe. There is something, but that's not true of all poetry. But yeah, spoken word it so uses the sounds and the rhythms and the the plosions and all the lovely tools we have with words that I think often can get overlooked when you're writing only for the eye. I have to be careful what I say. I don't have maybe I'm not qualified to speak on it. That's how I see it. And I think there's something in playing with, the audio that goes along with it is so key. I don't know.
I know it's a different. I posed a difficult question, but it's something which I think came up in recent weeks, and people have referred to it. Who wrote that poem?
Who wrote the poem? Yeah, and I think, and that's fine. I love that it's seen as a poem. I think I don't think spoken word is separate from poetry. I think they're very interlinked, and yeah, I wonder if someone picking it up and reading it would have the same experience as somebody hearing it, and maybe they're both different and valid as well.
With that in mind, I was just thinking, do you have any advice for aspiring writers? Someone may have watched that and said, I'd love to do that. What advice would you have for them?
Or just write, probably. I think I find the days that I don't write, it's because I haven't written. It's not very profound, but there's something about just doing and finding that time. I think the best will in the world, I'd love to be get up early and do it first thing in the morning before the world takes over. There's that moment, isn't there, when you wake up, but inevitably, having small children, I haven't got the luxury of that in this particular season, and quite often it's late at night when I should be going to sleep, and it's more of an offload. So I've got the day out of the way now, I just need to splurge. And so I find, having my phone on me, what I tend to do is capture out of nowhere. You'll capture something that feels like a title, or it feels like a phrase that you want to embellish more, but there's no time. So it's my notes on my phone are just filled with things I would love to have the time to sit down and look at more. But yeah, I do that, and I mean, I actually find quite a lot of inspiration from what I see, where I go, and experiences. So as well as scanning my notes, I'm scanning the photos on my phone as well, because a place will evoke memories which will turn into experience, and I will want to write about that. So yeah, I think just being ready and not dismissing tiny flits of inspiration that, just because it's not polished or not something you could present to the world. Don't write for the world. I think write just to write and see what that becomes.
And I wonder if, your faith must drive a lot of that. It must be a great inspiration, because, God's creation is amazing when you think of it. There's so much creativity out there. I imagine that does provide you with tremendous inspiration.
Yes, yeah, it does. And I think there are certain places where I feel you kind of have those reset moments. For me, it's if I'm driving, when the trees make tunnels on the road. That's my favorite. Yes. That's my favorite. And I have these little reset moments. But I mean, it's also it's architecture, and it's it's what we have been inspired to create as humans as well, that I think can bring something around, or seemingly. I mean, I guess with children as well, you see more things through the eyes of a child, which is really helpful. And a conker in a hand is suddenly a wonderful moment, and you can choose to see those through a different lens.
I can just imagine. I think with children, they do bring a different perspective to life, don't they? They really do. I think I know we love you to work with us and do more things for us in the future, which I'm sure we will. But do you have anything in the pipeline which you're planning at the moment?
Well, at the moment, actually, my husband and I are just starting a company together, which is something we'd thought about doing for quite a long time, and lockdown forced our hand, really, because all our work stopped, and suddenly we were asked to do things together. So we have launched Pike House, which will be a platform really for a number of different things, but certainly our spoken word will come through that as well. I haven't got anything specific in the pipeline, other than lots of musings and notes, which I'm hoping will come to life. I'm hoping to write something actually about this, the kind of the reset and the coming out of what has for some people become quite a long season. I know to all intents and purposes we're now calling life normal again, but I think for many there's a sense of having to dig quite deep to come back, for what feels like coming back to square one in some ways, but something that actually encourages and inspires that it's never square one. If we've been through anything, we're not square one. And I think there's something in that. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Maybe that one will come to life.
Well, I wait with expectation. In fact, actually, it's quite interesting you say that, because my church is actually going through a teaching series called Redig the Wells, based on Genesis 26. Now, when you think of Abraham dug wells, then they were plugged up. Isaac came along later, tried to unplug them, didn't work. Then he dug another new well, which brought life. What does that mean in our current relevant modern day context, about redigging new wells? Something new will be happening. It's not the same old from before the pandemic. It's something new in God. So yeah, I resonate with that. That could be quite exciting. I just really want to just say, well, you mentioned Pike House, which sounds exciting. How can, if you want to sort of communicate that, if you want to share that with the people who are watching this video, how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, initially I'm on most social medias, I think, but Instagram, Nicola Pike Writes, or Nicola Pike UK on Twitter, and Nicola Pike Performance on Facebook. Couldn't get the same name on all, unfortunately. So if anyone remembers any of those, I'll be impressed. But yeah, Instagram probably is the go-to, Nicola Pike Writes, and I've been able to kind of put most things on there, or nicolapike.com if people go to websites anymore. That's got everything on as well.
Plenty of places to connect with you. And well, Nicola, it's been lovely talking to you, and we really are grateful for what you've provided us, and it's been a real blessing to Christians and media. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It's such an honor to be able to be a part of what you're doing, and keep up doing what you're doing. I think it's so inspiring, and good to know you've got that support in this industry.
Okay, thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.